All right, Ms. Lyons, could you start recording?
It's recording.
Wonderful. Okay, good night, everyone, to the CB17 Transportation and Public Safety Committee meeting for October. I hope everyone is doing well. At this time, we will just do a simple introduction to all the members that are here, all of those who are members on the two original committees, as well as any guests or any new folks that are new to the committee. So we will start with Miss Jessica Welch. Okay, Miss Welch.
I'm trying. Okay, it's on.
You're on. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so yeah, just everybody's just going to give a little introduction to themselves, themselves and what who they are, if they are guests, if they are committee member, etc., etc.
Okay, this is Deborah Sanders. I registered to be part of the Transportation and Safety Committee. I was on last month's meeting and hope to be on the rest of the meetings for the year.
Right. Thank you, Deborah.
Good evening. This is Leonie Logan, originally on public safety, and I'm continuing on this committee member.
Okay.
Monica McCain Brown, committee member, originally of public safety. Good evening, everyone.
Right.
Jessica Welch. Come from public safety as a public safety chair. I am a committee member now of transportation.
Right.
Misha Brown. I am a guest, not on the committee, but just here to learn more about the community boards and in terms of how it affects my neighborhood.
Right.
Audrey Henderson, originally from Public and Safety Committee.
Okay.
Francis Pelly. I just signed up previous years. I was on Community Board 17 on the Commerce and Zoning, and I choose to join this committee because I feel it's very important. And I did that at the last Community Board 17 meeting. And good night to everyone.
Right.
Good night, everybody. Detective Skinner from the 6-7 Precinct Community Affairs Office.
All right. So I think there are 3 people who did not respond. Okay.
Good evening. This is
Hi.
Kim Mormon, and I'm a new committee member for public safety.
Okay.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
And Del Bank, committee member. Both, please. Good evening.
Right. And I believe the last person is Miss Ayana.
Good evening, everyone. I am a guest and interested in becoming a committee member.
Very well. Okay. So I believe that's everybody so far. So according to the agenda, since we have completed that, now we're going to go into any of the committee members, Did you guys received a digital transcript of the meeting minutes from September?
I know I didn't.
I'm not a committee member yet. Hopefully by next month.
Okay, all right. So anybody else, did anybody else receive?
I received it, but I didn't open it. I didn't get a chance to open it. This is Audrey Henderson.
Okay, all right. So then if that's the case, Ms. Lyons, from the two committees now becoming one, what would be the quorum anyway to vote and to accept the minutes?
22.
22. And we definitely don't have that.
No.
All right, so we're gonna have to.
No,
all right,
21,
so,
I mean, 20 plus 1.
20 plus 1.
Because it's,
okay.
it's 41 members, so it's 20 plus 1.
Mr.
All right,
Lewis?
so, yes, hi.
I received mine, but I was unable to open it.
Okay.
I just see that it's Public Safety and Transportation Committee meeting, but I'm not able to read any format.
Oh, it's not a format to read, it's something to listen to. What they are doing now.
Yeah, they're putting it on the tape.
Yeah, they're putting it as a digital record.
Okay.
So you might have to open it in an application.
Okay, in the app. Okay.
Yeah, in someone has the mic unmuted, ending in 7-3. Hello.
Mr.
Thank
Lewis?
you. Yes, I'm here.
I muted them.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Lyons. Okay, great. Okay, so yes, we will have to see what would be the different format, if it has to be in a MP3 or MP4.
Yeah.
I will have to discuss that with the communications chair.
Okay, in order to open
to see.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, to see how we could transpose it into a form that is readily accessible as soon as you tap the icon for play, so that you could have it play. All right, so
okay.
I'll discuss that with Miss Tomera, and we will try to see what would be the best format to transpose it into.
Okay. Yes,
all right, so
yeah. And this is Leonie Logan in the same position as Miss McCain Brown with the minutes.
okay, very well. So all right, no problem. So I'll get that rectified. So, but since we still don't have quorum, we can't vote on it, but it's something that we will be ongoing, and I'll talk to the communications chair how's the best place to transpose it. So continuing with, yes.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. That's Mr. Tate that came in, but he's having problems coming in.
Okay.
Because he called my phone.
Okay. All right, so no problem then. Hopefully he could get on sooner than later. So what I am going to do, instead of doing the chairman's report now, we're going into the fourth item. I'll go to the fifth and allow Detective Skinner to speak, and then after I'll go into the chairman's report, and then we will go into either new business or any old business, and then I want to just have a discussion on what are the things in particular that any of the guests or the committee members would like to go in depth in, where I may want to get somebody, a specialist or somebody that is versed in a specific field, whether it's transportation or public safety, to come and do a presentation. We could have that discussion also. We don't have any name recognition for the street signs or anything like that, or any other business. So this is what I want to discuss after that. So Detective Skinner, take it away, please.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Detective Skinner from the 6-7 Precinct Community Affairs Office. Thank you guys for having me on tonight. My report is not long. It's a short report. Unfortunately, I have a meeting at 8:30 with the 1PP with the other community affairs officers in Brooklyn South. Let me just start off by saying that Crime, we have good news that crime has dropped in certain categories through over the 28-day period, and I would say year to date. It has dropped down in homicides. We have dropped down homicides at 38%. We are up in rapes, unfortunately. What we've been seeing is that a lot of these rapes have been taking place, meaning domestics, unfortunately, and usually it's victims in their 20s and 30s. Robberies have went down. Burglaries have went down, but unfortunately, we have been seeing an uptick in burglaries for the past 28-day period. And what we've been seeing is that it's residential burgs and commercial. But with the residential burgs, it's mostly buildings. And what we're seeing is like people are breaking into like the front doors if they see packages are left like in the corridor, or let's say the like the hallway or on the front step. If they can see that like on the steps, what we're seeing is that they're breaking like the glass doors to get into some of these buildings, and they're removing the packages. With the commercial burglaries, we're seeing that as well. But the thing with commercial burglaries, what we're seeing more is not so much of package stuff, but it's more of construction sites where they're actually stealing like tools, and they're stealing like copper wiring and different like construction materials, which is pretty worth a lot of money. What we also been seeing also too is the stolen vehicles. We've been seeing that. So basically, we went down in stolen vehicles, which is a good thing. Because I know throughout the year, for the past several years, we've been stressing about leaving the keys in the car. Because that's basically how a lot of these vehicles get stolen. But what we have been seeing is that we got an uptick in vehicles stolen this month. Well, within the past 28-day period, but the vehicles that's basically being targeted is Kias and Hyundais. Unfortunately, I don't know if you guys are paying attention to the news, but the way Kia and Hyundai had made the vehicles, unfortunately, they made it very easy to steal. I just heard something on the radio that they had to pay out X amount of millions of dollars to a lot of owners because of the fact that they made the vehicle too easy to steal, and it was like no safety precautions that was put into it. So what we also been seeing also too is that grand larcenies have went down as well too. But still, please keep in mind there are a lot of scams that's going on also, and they are calling and they're making stories up as far as someone's in trouble. But be very careful with your bank. That is.
Mr. Tate, I believe there's a lot of noise in the background.
I am trying to get in, but this is the first time I'm using the phone, and I don't know what's going on. I don't know what. It sounds like some music, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Just mute yourself.
It's to mute me. I don't know how to mute me on the phone. That's the first time I'm doing it. So how can I mute it?
Miss Lyons, could you help Mr. Tate, please? Mute him, please.
You wouldn't believe that.
Hello?
Yeah, Miss Lyons?
I'm sorry. I don't want to interrupt the meeting anymore because it seems like it's some music from the phone.
Okay.
Okay, can we talk after the meeting tomorrow? Because I do need wanted to talk to you about.
Okay,
All
no
right,
problem. Thank you, Mr. Tate.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
Touch the microphone.
All right, go ahead, Go ahead, Detective Skinner.
Yeah. So where I left off at was it was basically the auto thefts that
Right.
we with the two particular vehicles.
Mhm.
As far as for our gun arrests this year, we made 148 gun arrests and we have 117 guns recovered. We actually recovered a gun and we actually made a gun arrest yesterday and a search warrant. Um, our neighborhood stability team was actually driving up Ralph and lady called 911. One of the neighbors around the corner, they guess they had words and he displayed a gun and ran in the house and we actually obtained a search warrant and we actually was able to recover that gun and recover the perpetrator as well. So, we're still continuing to do it. So far for the abandoned vehicles, we have 327 abandoned vehicles and unregistered vehicles that was towed for the year. The next scheduled tow operation, which actually they did, I'm sorry, which was last week, the 20th, which they recovered. So you could add actually 15 vehicles to that because they actually towed 15 vehicles on that operation, which they have another operation this week, an impromptu one that they're going to be doing as well. Also, too, I know a lot of people have concerns about, obviously the abandoned vehicles and derelict vehicles. I got word that sanitation also has a new unit as well that's going around, and they are also tackling a lot of these vehicles that are considered derelict as well. I was told from one of the sanitation officers that even if it has plates, they are allowed to still move it now. So that's a plus, at least that doesn't fall only on, us as far as working with private companies, but at least sanitation can remove it. And apparently what they explained to me is that if the vehicle has been there over a certain amount of time, they can, I guess they can like basically crush the vehicle in a faster time, from how he was explaining it to me. So just be on the lookout for that as well too. Sanitation does have that new unit that opened up. Unfortunately today, we did take a homicide earlier around 2:41 on Wilmore Street. The details are still fresh, but what we see so far, what we ascertained, it seems like it was domestic. Seems like it was like a love triangle from what we see. Unfortunately, the gentleman sustained, stab wounds and he succumbed to the stab wounds. And the young lady, she was also stabbed multiple times, but she was removed to Brookdale. But right now it seems to be domestic because from what leads to it, it's seems to be like all the directions of a case of ex-boyfriend, unfortunately. So once we ascertain more information, I would keep you guys updated on that. And just to end my report, we this is Breast Cancer Awareness and also Domestic Violence Month. And also too, if you guys have any youth that want to come down, we have our YCOs that have different programs and stuff like that that they have for the youth as well. And you can get in contact with them and they'll let you know what they have. They run different programs like arts and crafts, the explorers, and hopefully they have something that can fit in line with somebody that you guys know, a young man or one young lady that want to get into something. Other than that, I don't have anything else. I appreciate you for letting me speak early so I can get to the other meeting. I appreciate that.
No problem, Detective Skinner. Thank you for being here to give us those reports. I see one hand up, Miss Adele Bennett.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Detective Skinner? Yes, I've been noticing a young man riding around a city bike looking in people's cars trying to get in. Especially around the Kings Highway area in the 90s.
Kings Highway and what, like off of
Remsen, 91, 92. I watched him to see where he went. He went around the corner of East 92nd and Kings Highway.
Okay.
North.
And you said it's on a city bike?
Yeah, he's riding on the city bike, looking in people's cars, trying to get in.
Okay.
He paid me no attention. I don't have one of the cars he wants. And my last question is in regards to the shooting that took place at the unspecified business on Church right off of Ralph Avenue. They had the shooting about 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
Is there any more information about that, or when are they going?
No, they didn't. They didn't. They're actually still looking into that. I actually spoke to one of the detectives last week on that. They're still looking into that as far as like any other leads. But I don't have any updates on that.
I can't hear you.
That they're still looking into that. I don't have any leads on that. I actually spoke to one of the detectives last week, and they're still looking into that.
Do they have any type of program or plan to go after some of these places in our community
What do you mean?
that are unlicensed?
Well, our nightlife team, they do enforcement. Our nightlife team, they constantly check on a lot of these problematic places.
That night, the problem's in the day. That's when all the robberies seem to be taking place.
I didn't hear that last part. You sound muffled.
That's when the robberies are taking place.
Well, yeah, robberies is something that takes place. I mean, we can't predict when it takes place. Robberies is something that takes place throughout the day. I mean, so far we haven't seen anything where it's like, all right, we've been having like a pattern, so to speak, of robberies every single week, or by it's in a certain area. We haven't
I'm
got
talking specifically about these weed places, the weed stores, cannabis stores.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Look,
They seem to be a target for trouble. And unfortunately, they're not that far from schools and daycare centers.
What was that?
You consider a safety issue?
What was that last part? I'm sorry.
I said they're not that far from some schools and daycare, because the one on Church right off of Ralph, it's within 75 feet of a school.
It is, and you know what? We do our checks on that, but that's where the sheriffs would have to come in, because that's where the sheriffs do the enforcement. The sheriffs are the ones that do business inspections on stuff like that.
But it's not a legal business, so
it's still open. It's still open. It's still open for business for the public, so the sheriff can still do inspections.
I gotta check with somebody. I'm gonna check with an attorney about that. This is where I get the exact specifics that we need to make our determination as a committee. Then I can bring that information back. Okay, Osni?
All right, Ms. Adele, thank you.
Thank you.
So I see two more hands. Kim and then Maisha.
Hello, good evening. I'm Detective Skinner.
Good evening.
I wanted to know, you mentioned that you had to get a search warrant to respond to weapons at a residence.
Yes.
And you got the complaint from, I guess, a next door neighbor or maybe a neighbor on the block. Is that correct?
It wasn't a next door neighbor. From what it was that the person lived around the corner, but like we say around the corner because it's literally like walking distance.
Okay.
And apparently there was a dispute that took place, and the young man menaced the young lady with a firearm, and she called 911.
Good, because I wanted to know, did the person do an anonymous tip? Or
No. This young lady actually gave us her name and everything. That's the reason why we were able to also swear out the search warrant as well.
Right, because that's very good that you were able to get the search warrants. And I'm just concerned about when people make tips, whether it's anonymous or not, that the so-called suspect that you went to respond to the residents, that they won't be aware, right? Of the identity of the person.
Well, yeah. See, the thing with anonymous is that we have to do a little bit more groundwork. It won't be as fast as, let's say, for example, you have like a complainant, for example.
Right.
It's just the way it is as far as how the law is created around anonymous. You
Right.
would actually have to do more groundwork as far as you have an actual 911 caller. So let's say, for example, you call 911 and you tell me, hey, Detective Skinner, that guy right there, he just pulled a knife on me, right? And he takes off running.
Okay.
I have more with because you're there. I had you're a verified caller. But if it's anonymous and I see a gentleman right there with an orange shirt, blue jeans that fits description, legally I can't just go and I can't just search him or frisk him, I should say. I would have to do
Okay.
more. I would have to observe him, see if it coincides with the 911 call, try the call. It's a longer process.
Okay. I believe in that. I believe in that. That it's better to identify yourself if you're the complainant. But I just want to make sure the safety of the complainant. Will the suspect know their identity? That's what I wanted to know.
Well, the thing about it is this: with a situation like that yesterday, the suspect would know because of the fact that the lady called 911, and like
Okay.
you being menaced with a firearm or like a knife or something. That's a pretty serious charge. So it's not something where
Exactly.
it's not something where it's anonymous. Like you call 911, there's a reason why the police came to that location.
Right.
You know.
So what would happen as far as the person that reported it, which was the right thing to do, but this, they got a family. What
Well,
about the safety
if
of
the
that
if,
person?
well, that's if the person decides to still press charges. Because remember, if this goes to court, the DA would have to get in contact with them, see if they still want to press charges. Now, if it's something whereby they fear their safety and they speak to the DA could, basically stress like, hey, this person
Okay.
may or may not need protective custody. Like I said, it depends what the
Okay,
charge
got
is.
it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right. Maisha?
Hi, Misha.
Misha.
Hi, Detective Skinner. Thank you for your report. It was helpful. I had a question regarding the abandoned vehicles. I wanted to get a little bit more information on that. I know you said that the Department of Sanitation is doing rounds, as well as I believe the police. If we have I understand for abandoned vehicle on like a public street, but I live on a block where there's a shared alleyway between two streets, and there's an abandoned vehicle there. I assume the Department of Sanitation doesn't check those alleyways.
Those alleyways, is it I believe those are considered like private property, I believe. It's like it's
like a shared group
shared,
of
right?
garages.
So it's
Yeah.
right. So it's not on a public street.
No. But the car is abandoned. How do we deal with that? Or what is the best way you suggest dealing with that?
Have you guys ever like the neighbors ever came together and call a tow truck company to tow it?
No. I guess
That's
we
another
could, but I assume we'd have to pay for that, right?
Right, that's the thing.
Because it's not public, but it's really not private.
Right.
It's shared amongst the
How long
neighbors.
how long have it been there?
Well, the first one was there for probably over a year. He moved it and then just put another one in its place. So now this one has been here for, I don't know, maybe a couple months.
And it's somebody that lives in the area, or he just
Yeah, like across on the other block on the other side. I don't
Okay.
know if he lives there or family lives there. I'm not sure, but it's not moving. And it's, I don't know if it's directly in front of their garage, but it's definitely, blocking the alleyway, and it doesn't need to just sit there. The alleyway is not for cars to just be parked there.
Has anyone ever spoken to him?
I did about a year ago, and then he did move one, but then basically just put the other one there.
Okay. Where's this address at?
It's the alleyway on the entrance is on Cortelyou, between East 35th and East 34th.
Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about over there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's a because of the fact it's private. It's one of those things that
It doesn't
said-
fall under the
he said it,
jurisdiction of
yeah,
like the
yeah.
NYPD or the
Yeah.
sanitation.
I will. I will get back as far as I'll check it out.
Okay.
To see what it is as far as like exact, but I gotta double check to see if it falls under our rotor criteria if we can summons
Okay.
it. So I'll check it out. You said Cortilli between East 34 and East 35, right? And what's the description of the vehicle, if you don't mind me asking real quick?
Like a blue car. I don't know what kind, but it's blue. It's the only one parked there. No other cars parked there.
Okay. All right. I'll look into it.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right.
All right, great. If there's no other questions for Detective Skinner, we thank Detective Skinner for bringing us that report. We will allow Detective Skinner to be excused to go and prepare for his other meeting.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you very much.
All right.
All right. So continuing with the agenda, we're going to the chairman's report. Addressing public safety, I did go to the 67 Community Council meeting, which is actually the following day after the general meeting. And one of the key takeaways that I took from it was that Inspector Saliba said in particular, and once I get the meeting minutes for last month, in the next meeting, I'll be able to expound on it more. But in particular, he said that we need to be able to articulate whatever the issues that we are having correctly to the folks at 311. There are specific words and phrases that trigger a certain response. So they would automatically send it to the police department when it's not really a police issue. And what ends up happening is that you may get a response or a message or a ID number for a specific complaint, but it went to the police and it wasn't supposed to go to the police. So that's something that I want to go into. I may even see if I could get one of the NCOs to possibly do a presentation on actually an in-depth presentation on articulating whatever the issue is, whether it's public safety, transportation, whatever committee it is. Some of the things that we come to address or we come to speak about does not really involve the police. It could involve sanitation, it could involve several other agencies, but we just have to be very specific in using the right type of language to get the right response. So that was one of the key takeaways from that meeting. You know, also, again, it was discussed about the Labor Day, and I would say I was very impressed with that there was no, this was the first Labor Day that did not have a homicide. All right. And we know in previous years, there have been maybe 1 or 2 homicides, either leading up on the day off or around that festive time. So, that's something that we could definitely give credit to where credit is due in terms of all of the active stakeholders who are part of keeping that event a safe event. So that's part of the public safety in particular. In terms of transportation, ongoing discussions about the IBX. I have gotten contact information for the contact liaison for MTA as well as DOT. So now that I have those things, in particularly if anybody has specific concerns, specific questions, I know several people brought up in the meeting, they had issues with stop signs or traffic signals in specific areas that needed those additional enforcement. So what I would like is that if anybody has those type of issues, send it to the email. I know it's very long, but the email is CB17 transportation period public safety at gmail.com. I'm gonna type it in the chat so that if you couldn't if you didn't hear that or you couldn't take it down, I'll type it in the chat and you could copy and paste it, and that might be the easiest thing to do. Right. So besides that, also something about transportation. In the general meeting, there was supposed to be a co-naming that would have been supported by the city council, but there's a technicality with that. The co-naming was to be for Buster Rhymes and Spliff Star. They live on Troy Avenue between Church and Linden, and that's the block that was supposed to be renamed. But the city council decided that since they are not dead or they have not done an exceptional amount of community engagement or service in excess of a certain, dollar amount. There's a dollar amount that they would allow them to be given those type of recognition while the person is still alive. They decided to forego that, and Councilwoman Farrell Lewis in particular stated that they were trying to get another recognition from the mayor, maybe the key to the city or something like that, in terms of recognizing, in particularly because this is the 50th anniversary of hip hop, and several other community boards have granted the special co-naming of the streets in some other boroughs. It was something we thought that would have been able to happen, but it would not happen that way, and she explained that in the general meeting. So I think that is something in particular, based on the fact that those co-namings and stuff comes to our committee, and we are the ones that votes on that to carry it to the next level. I see Ms. Bennett has a hand up.
Yes, I do, Mr. Osmond. Good evening. When I was at that meeting with the precinct council and the 6-7, and what I heard, and because I was up front, was that the people were complaining about vehicles blowing the stop signs and the red light signs. And I've seen it today. If I stepped off that curb, I would have got knocked over. They just blow right through 1, 2, 3, 4 in a row. And the precinct is nowhere to be found. And I mean nowhere. And as for enforcement, the only thing I would recommend, they had something they were doing about 2 years ago, right before and after COVID. They were putting the agents in the intersections to control the vehicles running through and making sure they stop at that stop sign, because they can enforce that. Are you aware of that?
Yeah, I'm aware of it. There is a DOT or a traffic enforcement section of the precinct.
Yeah, no, they're not in the precinct. They're in Manhattan.
Right. No, but
Police Plaza.
No, but in the 67 precinct, there are an assigned group of police officers that do deal with traffic issues.
There are 2 officers, that's it.
Well,
it's 2.
Right.
Versus 300 agents that can do the same exact thing more efficiently.
No, I understand that. But in order to get to the agents, they have to make a recommendation. That was part of what was discussed.
Oh, they don't. All you have to do is contact the traffic division on the PD. His name is Chief Pilecki. You contact him, he will send those agents out there. They have nothing to do with the precinct.
No,
Nothing.
but I understand that, but you're not listening to what I'm saying. The 67th precinct has
Okay.
assigned officers that deal with traffic issues also. What they
I know.
do, they report, and then that is a support to say, well, okay, because the ticket agent gentleman or that specific officer might ask, okay, is there a reference? Has there been a report done? Has there been that? So I am trying
No,
to
they
do.
don't. They don't work that way. They don't work that way because I work with them. They don't work that way. That's why I
Okay,
know. And
okay.
I'm telling you, all we have to do is call them. They will come.
All right, so no problem. So then what we'll have to do, I will maybe get that contact information, or Miss Adele, if you can send that to my
Fraser
email.
has it. Fraser has it. Miss Fraser has it.
Okay, very well. So then from now on, we will try to use those different avenues to address those items.
Mm-hmm.
In particular, the only other next thing is for them to put red light cameras in that area. But again, if that goes in, then it's one or two things. People complain our community has already been severely taxed by the red light and the speed cameras.
That's
Right.
why I
So
recommended putting the agents there. It's easier.
yeah, well, again, this might be some of the things that may come back as recommendations to do that instead of maybe having an agent there every single day or whenever.
They can request it. They can request it. They will do it.
Right.
Because
So
the schools, if they have a problem around a school, the principal calls that office over here on Ralph Avenue, and they send those agents to that school to make sure those kids are safe and that those people are not blowing the red lights or the stop signs. And believe me, they don't. They don't want that $150 ticket.
all right, so fair enough. So I'll get the contact information for the ticket agents, and we will use that as another avenue to make a request on those things. What I would tell folks again, if there is an issue that you are facing, again, I'm going to put my email in the chat, and I want the folks to, even though we have a conversation here, please send it in form of an email so that you create a paper trail, because I don't want to misrepresent anything anyone has to say, and I also want to be able to send it to the right folks so that we can get a response as soon as possible. So I put the email in the chat, and let me see. Right, Ms. Welch, I see your hand up. Ms. Just, you okay? All right, the hand went down. All right, so continuing with our agenda. So is there any, Ms. Welch, I see your hands raised. You need to unmute.
Yes. My hands is raised because you said after Detective Skinner, you was going to do new business. So I'm waiting for you to do new business.
All right, so no problem. So before we go into new business, do we have any old business? If not, then Ms. Welch, we're going into new business now.
Okay, and Jessica Welch, I want to bring the attention to the committee that over there at 123 Linden Boulevard, when they decided to tear up the sidewalks and tear up everything there, got rid of all the trees, they did not replace a light pole that was there. They just covered it over, and it's been gone since 2017. And the people on the block where I live would like to see our city light pole back there.
All right. So do you have any pictures or anything that I could forward to DOT? That would be very helpful, because when they come out, they have no excuses. They will have an exact location. You told me it's in front of 123.
123, and it's not covered over with concrete. It's actually like a board is on top of it. They know they were supposed to replace it. Just they were making believe they don't know.
No, it's not that they don't know. You remember? Well, let me explain how some of these things go, right? With DOT, every 4 to 5 years, the contract to replace light poles and traffic signals and all that stuff goes back out to rebid. And if they don't fix everything, they never fix everything. No matter how long the contract, no matter how many contractors, they never completely fix everything. So what happens sometimes is that once someone like me is aware of it, and you give me the information, and I could go to the DOT liaison, it can be, I'm not saying it will be, but brought to their attention, and they could put it up on their priority list. But just remember that they're covering, I think the number is something like over, I think, I gotta get the number, but it's a couple thousand miles of coverage that these contractors cover. And sometimes, whether it's willfully or subconsciously, just missed out. If it's a single pole, sometimes they tend to ignore it. But the way that we could kind of maybe push that to be done is that officially we have the information, we have pictures of that light post not having the light on it, and we could start a paper trail to send to DOT.
It's actually, there is no pole there. It's just flat.
It's the base. It's the base. It's the base with a wood top on top of it. Correct?
Okay. Yes.
Right. I know, because I used to actually install those lights. So that's why I could tell you that. I've experience with that as an electrician. So that's why I know what the priority is, how the contracts go. I even am aware of who is the contractual person who has the contract for Brooklyn right now. I know which company it is. So that's why I'm saying I can be a little more direct in terms of finding out how this could be done in a relatively quick manner. If you say it hasn't been done since 2017, then there could be other reasons too. Maybe they have to run new power from
It
Canada.
wasn't done because they built that horrible building, 123 Linden Boulevard.
Right. So all of that could be, maybe they have to remove the power and come from a different area. It might be a little more to do than just replacing the light pole. So I might be able to find out information like that, and then I will send it back. But what I need you to do to keep a paper trail, send that to me in an email. If possible, take pictures or have somebody take pictures, or maybe if I could get over there, I could take pictures, assess the area so that I could give them a full understanding of what's going on there. And we will try to get that rectified. Now, remember, some of the things that we're seeing, in particularly based on COVID and based on the lack of people who are actually employed in the different agencies, because all the agencies have lost people. A lot of these things now have gone to the back burner. So we will have to.
It's a matter of safety. Like
Right.
people come home in the night,
Mhm.
and on that side of the street, there's no light pole. They feel that their building, their beautiful 28th floor building, is enough light for us, I guess.
Well, I mean, that may be a possibility, but again, let's start the paper trail. Get the email to me. Get the pictures. I will drive over there and look and make an assessment, and then we'll get to the DOT liaison to see how that could be rectified. I see two other hands. I see Miss Kim and Miss Misha. So Miss Kim, you go ahead, and then Miss Misha.
Yes, hello. I would like to know, this is to do with the subway. The weather is getting colder now. So basically, people who are, they're homeless or shelterless, they're coming onto inside the subway system. This is bigger than our community board, by the way. It's citywide, I know. But I was just wondering because before the pandemic, we just had the homeless and just regular New Yorkers. And when we had the cold weather, they come into the subways. That was one thing. Now, post-COVID, now we have also this additional issue with the crisis with the migrants. The mayor is always saying, we're not going to have the migrants on the streets. And you know, they're trying to find shelter for the migrants that are flooding in. They're flooding into the city. But what I wanted to know is just regular New Yorkers, even before the pandemic, that are without homes or shelter. When the weather gets cold, they're going to come inside to wherever they can. And the subway system, unfortunately, is the popular place. So on, like, for example, I'll give you Utica Avenue, that subway station, the 3 and 4 line, Eastern Parkway, Utica Avenue, that station. The first stop, that's the first stop. That's also the final stop when you're coming on the 4 line, but New Lots Avenue is the last one. But what they do is the MTA people will clean and mop, and you know, they do their job, they clean the train, the last stop. But then it reverses and goes to the first stop when it goes the opposite way. The homeless, they're just sweeping and mopping around the homeless, but they don't say anything to them. They're laying on the seats like it's a couch or a love seat. This is their furniture. Now, some of them have gotten cool to this, that now they're starting to put their belongings in a shopping cart, and then they have a whole shopping cart full of junk, and they're laying down on the seat. I was just wondering about that, like if anybody, you know, I can't be the only one that gets tired of seeing that. I feel so bad for just regular New Yorkers. They're not the migrants. They're just regular New Yorkers homeless, but the cold weather outside, so they're coming inside for shelter. They're laying down on the seats, flat out. I'm not talking about just reclining a little bit. I'm talking about they're laying out flat. No one can sit in the seats. They have the shopping cart full of their belongings because they can't have encampments anymore. They can't have encampments. The police will remove them from the train if they have encampments. So now they done got clue to that. So now they're putting all their things, dumping it into a cart, and just living on the subway system the whole winter season. That's basically what I wanted to say. Utica Avenue, Eastern Parkway is a very popular station where they do that. I'm on the 3 line, Utica Avenue and Eastern Parkway, that subway station especially. The MTA people, they clean the train. They always do that at Utica. But they bypass the people. They just let them stay there, but they don't speak to them or anything. So the whole trip, the whole route. They're on that train and then they reverse back. The same thing. It's a
So
cycle every day.
yeah, so what I could tell you about that in particular. A lot of people know or they don't know. At one point, Mayor Bloomberg, and he did it, and then Mayor de Blasio ended up getting caught doing it. They were shipping people with a one-way ticket, homeless, indifferent. I see the term EDP, emotionally disturbed people. They were shipping them to California. Bloomberg did it for years. He didn't get caught. De Blasio did it, and up to almost the second or last year of his term, he got caught, and the whole thing opened up. So what we are looking at in particular is a couple of things. It's the policies based on shelter and the homeless. It's also the economics of why these people are homeless and why these people are things. So when we look at all of these things, it's not just in a vacuum, right? We always had homeless people. We always had poor people. We always had emotionally distressed or people that have mental disturbances and everything. But in particular, right, several aspects happen. When the police were engaging them, and they were treated in a certain way based on some of the attitudes towards the police stopped enforcing, actually engaging with them because of some of the several things that happen, whether it's police brutality, whether it's whatever it is, the police stopped engaging them, right? The MTA workers don't need to, are told not to engage them for fear of retaliation or whatever the case may be. So what we have to look at in particular is all of the factors together. And on top of that now, you add the migrants, which is an additional 180,000 people or whatever the number is that will be coming here over a certain period. All of these is just a thing that is considered, why consider a perfect storm.
Exactly.
Law
And then
enforcement.
the mayor Adams, he keeps saying like we are filled to capacity.
Yes.
We're filled to capacity. But the thing is, what about our own people, our own New Yorkers?
So this is why I'm saying it's a policy issue. There is a way to deal with it, but it goes beyond on how people are treated, what type of services they receive, how these services are delineated across the entire 5 boroughs. All of these are discussions that have to be had in order to address that problem. You have the lack of safety inside of the shelters. There are many people that I have spoken to that tell me they will not go into a shelter. It's better they stay on the street because of some of the violence and the danger of being in a shelter. So all of these things have to be addressed in terms of looking at why somebody would sleep on the road, why they would sleep outside, what are the rights that homeless people have in terms of, not being bothered or not being accosted or not being spoken to or requested to move. All of these things are discussions that we should have. And what I will do, I will look to get somebody maybe to discuss that in terms of having an official meeting with slides or official to address that, because that's something that is going to become more and more rampant, and it's something that, because we are a sanctuary city, they use that to the advantage to keep flooding us with people. But there is not enough resources being allocated to really offset all of these issues in terms of the homeless and in terms of, having excessive people here. and also dealing with the people who already here was struggling. So that is something that we could actually.
The migrant crisis, that's a national crisis. And federal dollars should be going towards New York to address the migrant. And then as far as our own New Yorkers, as far as being without shelter or whatever, I believe the federal government should still factor in funding for that too, but for a different reason. But the main thing is my tax dollars should go towards New York. You know what I mean? But the migrant, that's a national problem. And the federal dollars should go into that issue.
No, I
but
understand.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
All right. So I see. All right. Is there any discussion on this point in particular? I see a couple hands went up. I don't know. Misha, were you addressing another new business or was it on this same topic?
It was another new business.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me see. Ms. Welch or Miss Adele, is this on this same topic about the homeless?
No.
Okay, no. Ms. Welch, are you on that same topic?
Mine is sort of on the homeless, but not really. It's just something that in public safety we had discussed it mildly, and I found out more information about what's going on the outer edge of Kings County. So when you finish out.
Okay. All right. So if that's the case, then I will go in the order that the hands went up. But we're going to continue this discussion. But what I will do is look to see if I could get somebody to come and bring up a presentation on this and really discuss how we could effectively, in particular in our neighborhood, but maybe in the whole of New York City, and look at maybe even a national effort, how we could mitigate this circumstance. So, Ms. Kim, I have that in the record. I'm going to look for somebody that could actually put a presentation together and give us pinpointed facts and numbers for us to really see what is going on, if there's an active study going on or something, to really get that point across and what our next steps will be. So Maisha, we'll take your new business now.
Thank you. So my question is related to how do I request for the city bike stations to be removed from a certain location?
So what we did in the summer have a meeting with DOT and with the city bike folks. And what location are you talking about in particular?
The
Misha?
one on Cortelyou and East 34th.
The one on Cortelyou and East 34th.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that one in that area there, we could try to request it, but we were told that, you see, Cortelyou is the end of the coverage area. And we had a point of contention with them with that, because there are several city bike in a relatively close area.
Yeah, very
blocks
close
apart.
together. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right, because you have on Brooklyn alone, I think you have about 3.
Mm-hmm.
One on Snyder and Brooklyn, one on Tilden and Brooklyn. There's another one, I think, on Beverly and Brooklyn.
Yes.
And then
And Beverly and Nostrand.
Huh?
Mm-hmm. And I believe
and Beverly and Nostrand by the train.
Right. And then you have the other one that is on where your block is, Cortelyou and 34th. And then you have another one at Cortelyou and Albany. And then you have another one at Schenectady and Cortelyou. Then you have another one going up. So
And
What
they're
they
not
told,
they're not even
Mhm.
being utilized because the people in this community don't really use them. So I don't mind a couple, like the one by the train station, fine. But when it starts to take precious parking spaces, then that becomes a problem.
So we have gotten them to do a stop and desist. And we got that verbal promise, but we're supposed to get an official written letter and reach out to Miss Fraser to make sure we got that letter from the assistant commissioner and the commissioner about that. In particular, when we asked them why so many in such a small space, we were told, and this is the answer, whether it's an excuse or not, that is the end of the coverage zone. So what I asked them is that, okay, if that was the end of the coverage zone, why oversaturate? I remember asking them that directly, and
Yeah,
they
that
said,
doesn't make
well,
sense.
right. And I told them, they say, well, you know, we had to make sure we put them in areas where people use them. I say, well,
We are using them here.
People aren't using them though. I can look and
right.
see the bikes are always full. I used to live in Bed-Stuy and there were no bikes available. And now here there's plenty of bikes, but no one uses them. Everyone has cars here or they take the train. This is not that type of neighborhood. So I don't mind a couple, but they oversaturated for sure.
Right. So this is why in particular we are continuing that conversation with them to remove some more. I think they did remove, I think, 1 or 2. We are trying to get them to remove some more because, again, it is not something that, you know, basically all this was a program that started from Mayor Bloomberg.
Yes.
And then de Blasio continued with it. And what they do, they keep kicking it down the road to the next mayor. And they continue to do it because this is all a part of the Green Initiative and healthy lifestyle. And all of these was stuff that was discussed, that the commissioner of DOT and transportation, he even spoke about that. So we are having ongoing discussions with it, and we are going to get back to them to ask them for the data on the usage. And
Okay.
well,
I'm just saying, if you don't mind, if you would put that one specifically on your list of ones to remove. I'm sure they're not going to remove all of them, but if we have a reasonable amount of stations to remove, hopefully they will listen.
Okay, good. So again, like I stated before, the request, make it official. We're discussing it here. Send it to me in the email.
Okay.
Start the paper trail.
Okay.
Help me start that, and I could forward it, and I could continue to have the discussion so that we could pinpoint, so I don't miss. I know you said Cortelio and 35th.
East 34th. East 34th.
East,
Yeah, I will
East
send you an
34th.
email.
Very good.
Thank
So
you.
again, thank you very much. I appreciate it greatly, and we're going to continue to work on that. Miss Adele.
Hello. You know what I
Yeah.
was going to say? I'm at the meeting, also the 6-7 meeting, if you remember. They were talking about a gas station over there on Kings Highway right off of Remsen, if you remember.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they're talking about how they knocked down the fence and they're throwing garbage everywhere, and the rats are running all over that side street for those people. And they're running scared over there.
All right.
Is there anything we can do about that? Because whoever owns that gas station needs to put a better barrier up.
So that would end up being, I think, both a sheriff issue, because that's an ex-business, and it would also have to deal with possibly sanitation to end up trying to ticket or trying to get the information based on that too. So we might have to bring that in the sanitation chair, in the sanitation committee, as part of trying to rectify that. But just remember, you know, there are some minimal rules in terms of if it's not in construction, there's not necessarily that they have to put up the green barrier unless they're building something.
Oh, no,
A
not the
simple-
green. I'm talking about the cement barriers that they put up to keep people out.
Yeah, again, we'll have to see how that could be enforced.
Yeah.
So
Alright.
I'll look into it, but again, same thing. Send the email so I could start to forward it to the different folks.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Before I go to Miss Welsh, Miss Brown, you wanted to say something?
I did. I just wanted to add, and it would be the same protocol that the one, as you said, there was so many around our area here, Brooklyn Avenue, etc. I just wanted to add another one, but in the email that would also be added.
Wonderful. Yeah. So
yes,
we could definitely, once we have that, and once they could see that there are people that are talking about this thing in specific areas. That's why I like to have the email paper trail, because they won't only just say it's coming from the community board chair or the chair of this committee. They're actually seeing concerned citizens in their specific areas that they live speaking about it. So it gives a little more validity, and we can also push. And what I'm going to do, I may even look to do some type of survey or some type of written what do you call it again?
Yeah, a survey.
The survey from the community to actually bring an actual number to the folks, whether it's something that we might have to try to do door to door, or maybe through the community, the block association committee, and try to get all the block associations to get signed petitions from the folks so that we could send it to them and give it to them. This is a numbers thing. And it's something that we will consistently have to keep doing, because again, if after a while we just send the email and they see that, or they send the number and they see the signed petition, they could choose to ignore it. But if we keep banging the drum, we will maybe not get all taken out, but at least in specific areas where there is the most need, we could maybe prioritize those, and they might be able to do it. So definitely, I'm going to start to look at possibly getting some petitions and getting some signed petitions from folks, especially in those mostly affected areas, so that again we could use that as part of the groundswell to get these folks to actually move these things out, or at least do something else, because we're not also dealing with the bike share, we're dealing with the car share.
Yes, the zip cars and those things. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So it's just been an onslaught of things just being thrown at us. And
that's a good idea, what you said about doing, even if it's door-to-door survey, and just as they have oversaturated us, we'll oversaturate them with our petitions. I think that's a good idea.
I would agree with that, because I think asking them to do the work to see how many people are using it, they're not going to do that. So I think we have to push them with a petition of some sort so they realize the request from the actual neighborhood. So I would agree with that as well.
Good. So what I will do is carry that back to Ms. Fraser, and in particular to the board chair, Mr. Daly, and see how to get this officially on something where we could implement it and carry it out to all the different block associations and the areas there, so that we could get it signed. And once we get that signed, that is going to be an additional what I would say, bullet in the gun to hopefully get them to move in the right direction, right? And then we will just have to keep, staying with them, and that would be on me now, with those signed petition, with the DOT liaison, to keep going and consistently be upon them until we finally see some of these both the car shares and the bike shares taken out from the community. All right, so I would just need, once we get that signed petition, I would need some help to really get that across. But I don't think I would get any, how you call it again, any anything negative from that, because everybody's affected by this. Everybody's affected. So, you know, this is very important, and we will definitely work on that. Okay, Ms. Welsh. New business? Yes, Ms. Welsh, we could hear you now.
Okay. They had brought it to my attention last spring that the state is thinking of making a unit of 1,000 units over there by Kings County, and it's going to be a state homeless facility with no parking, and that should be affecting our neighborhood. And I think we still have the possibility of having them change that, because we are now having these buildings, these tall buildings coming up with no parking. Then we're going to have that with no parking. So soon in our neighborhood, we will have no parking for anyone.
So
and it's something that we have to stop these people coming in that thinking that they could just build whatever they want without parking.
So what I could tell you from the last meeting, that is a project. One of the developers was there at the meeting. I forgot his name. I will have to look back at the meeting minutes. He stood up and he spoke. And I think it's called the Brooklyn Vital Project. It's actually a state project, right? And what I recognize is that even I think the Brooklyn Borough president made a statement, and DOT has made that statement too, that whenever they do things or whenever they look at things, they're not in particularly looking for parking. That statement has been floated and thrown around a lot, right? Because they're actually trying to, by force, push people to public transportation or the car share or the city bikes and these things. By force, it seems. So we have to try to push back as much as we can to demand in the land use committee this month. There's a building that a medical building, I think 3002 Farragut, that wanted to get a variance, and last month I think it was voted on that they would not get the variance unless they change the plan. So these are some of the steps that we could take. Now, that is in the community. That Brooklyn Vital Project is from House and Renewals from the state.
But that doesn't mean that it's not a Goliath.
No. It doesn't mean that it's not a Goliath, you know. But we have to have the people that are willing to fight for the long term on this. This is something that you have to remember. There's a lot of stuff riding on this. The affordable housing thing. I remember when de Blasio was in office, what he stated. They were looking to add an additional, I think, 1 million units in terms of affordable housing. So any developer that uses that as their main goal to develop a building, they are getting the tax breaks, the abatement, the incentive, all of that, and they are getting the authority not to include parking if they don't want to. So this is why I'm telling you, it's a fight. It's not something that is one today, one tomorrow. We have to consistently pound the pavement on it. And again, this goes back to the policies. Remember, these things don't happen in a vacuum or in a bubble. These are laws and policies that are put into place. And that is why it's so important when it comes to voting, particularly coming up in this election, we look at all of the different things on the ballot. There are special things that sometimes when we ignore it because we choose not to vote because of the belief that is the lesser of two evil and all this old talk. Again, the most important thing we have to look at is policy, who is looking in our best interest, or how to get to those people who are the policy makers on a federal level, on a local level, on a state level, right? These are the things that we talk about community engagement. This is where all the work has to come in. And a lot of the times, these projects and these plans are brought in, and sometimes we ignore it, or we say, well, we're so far away from doing it, or whatever the case may be. So this now, where they are in the process of still building and so forth, and they in designing, because they haven't broke ground yet, they haven't done anything as yet, we can request, we can be a little more proactive in telling them the needs of the community and documenting that. Again, this is where the email come and the paper trail. I'm gonna be like a broken record with that whole night. These are the only ways we could effectively do what we are looking at. Because remember, as you say, Ms. West, it's not Goliath, but remember, it's a lot of Goliath paperwork that had to go with that. It's have a lot of community outreach and push that has to go with that. And we have to understand that and be proactive. In particularly, the people that are affected in that area. 49th Street, coming back all the way to Albany, all those folks in those immediate areas and those blocks, they have to be a part of this process. It's not good enough to just complain and say something, but don't actually put work behind to effectively help the community board to fight.
Listen to this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
In our neighborhood, I would say like 20 years ago, before that thing that got next to my building, that nursing home, it became 100 years old. And this is what I seen. It became 100 years old, and they had only like 3 more people on their it was called New York Congregational Nursing Home. They had 3 more people on their board that were still alive. But what was going on is Matthew Eugene was in that building, and so was Miss Clark was in that building. What they had to do was make it what they call this, a national thing, where once you're over 100 years old, you put yourself in the archives and they can't touch the building. But they had already built that 6th floor nursing home in the back. And I told them, I said, what's going on right now is y'all are not putting pen to paper, and you're both elected officials in this building. And just said, so done. 3 people died. There were no more people on their committee, and that's how they built that building there. And it's the fault of the people in the neighborhood, because when the building became 100 years old, they were supposed to do their due diligence, and they didn't. But you see, that's because New York State, which is New York Congregational, is a state facility, and regular people that live in the neighborhood. I was like, are you for real? And now they're going to put this big 1,000 unit over there, and we're going to have like a little village over there. And they're going to tell me, oh, nobody didn't say anything. But there's nobody saying anything. The community board 17, community board 9, community board 14, nobody's saying anything. But all you got to do is start using up your parking space, and that goes on for so on and so on and so on. I'm just saying, I think we should write a letter saying to them, no, we don't want it in our neighborhood because it's going to disrupt our whole environment. At least it was going down on record that we don't want it. But nobody's saying anything about writing that we don't want it.
So that's not ultimately true, Ms. Welch. At the Land Use Committee, Chair Frey said that, and even at the general board meeting, the CB9 chair was there to talk about that. So the letter
But
was.
did they?
Hold on, let me
did
finish.
they?
Let me
Okay,
finish.
go ahead.
Let me finish. They sent out a letter. The letter say that they're not against or they're not for, but they want to have an additional conversation on how this could be viable to the community. Now, again, if CB 17 has to adopt that same thing, it may be on those same lines. I'm not saying no. What I'm saying, Ms. Welch, is that more people from the affected areas have to come out. Now, whether is that again another petition to be signed, whether is that again to have another another set of community engagement, yes, I know. But again, this is what I'm stating, and in the same way, I keep stating this again. We always seem to be on the reactive.
Yeah.
We are not proactive until, right? So in the same way, people have to be educated on what's going on, what's the process, come to the committee meeting, again, the paper trail, write these things. We could do the petitions, we could do all these things together, but we have to have that support. Not people just come into a meeting once a month, every month, venting their frustration, and then they stop work. We have to be consistent and we have to be reliable. And that is sometimes part of the issue with our community. Because you know why? A lot of us, when we see somebody come to sign something, because of our fear, which is not unwarranted, of signing your name, somebody will do you something or take something away from you. That is part of our issue, right? Because then we don't want our name attached to anything. We don't. But then once it hit your doorstep and it's affecting you, now you expect everybody to run and come and help, because fire, we need water, right? We need to be a little more proactive and understand signing a petition, once it's explained properly and it comes from a correct source, it's in support of helping something change. But all of these things is things that we have to discuss, right? In educating the community about what could be done, how we could do it, and again, trying to make the best of the situation as it's coming. There could be requests. The good thing about it, the gentleman from that project, who is actually, I think, one of the developers spearheading the project, I will go back and get the meeting notes and get his information. And I think Mr. Frey could get his information for him to come to the Land Use Committee and make a meeting, attend that meeting, right? I don't know if he could make a presentation in the general board meeting. We could request him to do that too. We could attend those meetings, right? But again, all of these are things that we have to do. But I don't want to get too crazy because it's actually almost 9:10. I'm actually going to just take Miss Adele Bennett and, you know.
Can you hear me? I want to say one thing. I was a couple of years back, I was on a committee that did exactly what you just said. Go around from door to door, Linden Boulevard, trying to get those people out. They were complaining, but they did not come out, and they wouldn't sign a petition. They were afraid to open the door.
Right.
So
So
I
that's
don't know why, but I guess you just said why. They're afraid because they don't want their name on it. But they
right.
will not open the damn door.
Well, you see, so this is why in particular we have to invite the folks to the meeting and have ongoing discussions about why our community is affected more than the others. Because let me tell you something, in Midwood, in Bensonhurst,
it's not happening.
In Marine
Right.
Park,
It's
in Mill
not.
Basin, they might have a little old white lady in the post office, and she would tell you, sign this petition to do X, Y, and Z, and everybody sign. Whether they know English or not, whether they know it is, they know this lady tell you to sign something, they sign it, and they get things done. Our folks, we have sometimes this overly or adversely scared mentality. Or they take my name, they go sign my name on something, somebody coming to look for me, or something gonna happen to me. We have to change that fear, that sometimes unwarranted fear that we have. We have to change that. Mr. Pele.
News. We had a news station come out over there. But a lot of people came out and then they disappeared.
Yes. Thanks, Miss Betty. Mr. Pele.
All right. Thank you for at least listening to. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
And I applaud you for saying that we are a community that are reactive rather than proactive. I've been living in my neighborhood for 36 years, and I could tell you from A to B to Z to D. And trust me, what you have said, you are right on point. And I hope a lot of the committee members are actually listening to what you are saying, because you are on spot on. We always wait, okay, for something to happen, and then we complain. I go to the community board 17 meeting. Now I want you to hear me, and I want this is in terms of the community members, okay? We have a board meeting, okay? You could count on your fingers how much people show up. And if you don't show up and you don't attend these meetings, these things will happen. And this has been going on for years and years. And you were spot on with people don't wanting to sign and people don't want to get involved. And that's the reason why in every other neighborhood, it will never happen. But it will consistently, and it will always happen unless we as a community, put ourselves first. Thank you.
Right. And with that, I would like to request this meeting come to an adjournment. I am looking for somebody to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second, Adele Bennett.
Very well. So I appreciate everybody for coming out. And again, like I said, any of the problems, any of the issues, please email me. I put the email in the chat. I know it's pretty long. Just copy it, copy and paste, and send it to me, so that what I could do, I could just forward it up. But I appreciate everybody coming out. This was a great meeting, and I'm just looking forward to more and more engagement and bringing on the things that we would like to see in terms of presentations in this committee. Thank you very much, everybody, and have a good night.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.